game was equally pathetic.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Let me close this door so don't wake up wifey. But good morning, good morning, good morning. Sorry about yesterday. I had a busy weekend with the draft, and then I had business to take care of yesterday morning, so thought I could do them both, but I was out of here at like 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning or whatever, so I didn't have time. But I've got to address some things. I'm probably going to ramble a little bit this morning, but I'm going to address some things, some personal things that's going with that is hard for me to deal with this channel, and me getting these horrible comments from people. It's just tough. So I'm gonna ramble about that from at the beginning. Then I'm gonna go into the Dallas Cowboys draft, player by player, and just talk about them for a little bit. You know, the things that I've learned about them over the last few days and over the weekend. And I'm not gonna deal with the undrafted free agents right now. I know there's a couple, but I'm not expecting any of them to make the team. So we're gonna have to wait for the undrafted guys to get in the training camp and see who, you know, like shows himself. I mean, there are a couple of there's a safety there that's really good. There's a linebacker there that's really good. So there's some decent talent in the undrafted free agent pool that we brought in, but I'm just not going to discuss them right now. I'm going to go on an individual basis for them later. And then after that, I'm going to go slightly into our division rivals and what they did in the draft and if they got any better. All right? Now, I'm going to go to the channel and tweet us out so everybody know I'm here live. Wow, 11,000. I've got 1,000 subscribers somewhere lately. That's awesome. All right, share. Twitter. I should say it like that from now on. Recapping the drive. John Shango. Hashtag Shango Live. Perfect. All right, it's out to the tweeters. Now send it to the Facebookers. Share. Okay. What's up, NJTK? How's it going? Who else is in here? 4 new comments. Tashira, what's up? Dirty Mugs, what's up? Boris, how's it going? Michael Barris, what's good, man? All right. With the reaction, I made a video, and I'm after the first 2 rounds of the draft, and I was talking to my wife, and she was in South Carolina, and I was like, I can't believe they did. It was just anger coming out of me, and which. The majority of the Cowboy fans were feeling the same way. Honestly, the majority of the Cowboy fans were feeling the same way I was feeling. So, wifey says, "Well, look, you need to make a video and say that stuff to them and quit yelling at me." So I made a video, and I went back the other day and I looked at the video and I was like, "Whoa, all these dislikes! Must be posted somewhere." So I went over to the Cowboy Zone, and sure enough, there goes my video right there, and thus the explanation for all the dislikes and all the the angry comments from people. You know, and I didn't even open up the string on the Cowboy Zone because I know the sunshine pushers over there were going to eat me alive, call me every name in a book. They just get really ruthless because I don't talk up the Cowboys every time I turn around. I mean, that's not natural. It's not real. And when we saw the draft, and we saw, and especially us that had been doing research for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks before the draft, and looking at all these players and looking at our needs and stuff like that, when we did what we did in the draft, it really caused us to go, well, I don't understand. So I mean, I wish I could get on and say, oh gosh, we got better. But I really don't see how. The explanations that people are saying that we got better, it just doesn't fly. Maybe it makes us a little bit better, but in all, it just doesn't fly. You know, the two tight end offense, it's great in theory, but weapons were not our problem on offense. On our offense, it was execution. And if we can't execute what we're already doing, how are we going to employ a two tight end offense to make that thing work when we wasn't making the other thing work? The only thing that works on our offense is when Tony Romo starts throwing the ball around like a crazed maniac. That works. And that works at the end of the games. But the beginning of the games or whatever, the execution of the running game is poor. The execution of the passing game is poor. The execution of the passing game is poor. Let me say it one more time. The execution of the passing game is poor. And you can look back at the first 3 quarters on just about all the games last year. And the execution of the passing game is poor until Tony Romo gets the ball in the 4th quarter toward the end of the game, and then he's throwing the ball all over the place, and that's when Tony Romo is at his best, and that's when the Dallas Cowboys are at their best. So for them to get better on offense, all they have to do is execute better. Execution. The running game, commit to it and execute. You know what I'm saying? The running game, people expect the running game when you hand the ball off to a running back and he doesn't get yards, and you hand it off again and he doesn't get yards. Oh God, our running game sucks. You have to commit to it. You have to punt, get the ball back, hand it to him again. Hand it to him again until you find the soft spots in defense, until you beat up that side of the defensive line and can run over there. The running game is a commitment. I doubt very few teams, other than probably teams with killer running backs like AD, have success in the running game like that. You get success in the running game when you commit to it and you pound the other side of the ball completely. So execution was a problem on offense. But yet and still, we put up some big offensive numbers last year. There was a lot of touchdowns scored, a lot of yards gained, a lot of stuff happened on offense. But on the defensive side of the ball, we struggled. We struggled on the defensive side. And for us not to try to replenish that side with talent is a real head scratcher. When the thing about Escobar, people are like, well, Jason Witten's getting old, and we have to prepare for Jason Witten when he retired. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But on the defensive line itself, you got 4 guys on the defensive line. Hear me out on this, because this is some serious stuff I'm getting ready to say. There's 4 guys on the defensive line, and I'm going to go down through them. 1, DeMarcus Ware. DeMarcus Ware last year had a lot of injuries. He was beat up by the end of the season. And DeMarcus Ware was playing outside linebacker, where he could avoid contact when he needed to avoid contact and go straight to the ball, where he could move around and do things. This year, DeMarcus Ware's hand is going to be in the ground, and he's going to take punishment. He's going to get hit every single down. So it's a very strong possibility that he may get injured again. And to avoid him from getting injured again and to save him, we needed a backup to go under him that could give us some time or give us some pressure on the quarterback when he's on the sidelines. So we got that with DeMarcus Ware. That's our number 1. Our number 1 is kind of a question mark because of his injuries and him being, put to where he has to take contact on every single play. Where? Beside Where, we have Hatcher, who I've been a Hatcher fan from day one. Hatcher, he always kind of disappoints me during the season or whatever, but during the preseason, he's a monster. So Hatcher had a really good year last year, and we're expecting a lot from him. But if we do get a lot from Hatcher's a free agent next year, so he's going to be very expensive if he has a good year. Have a good year for the Dallas Cowboys, you're going to be expensive. So Hatcher will be a question mark for the future, simply because of his contract situation. Next, beside Hatcher, we have Jay Ratliff. Jay Ratliff has been hurt for 3 seasons now almost. If you look at his stats, they plummeted since when he was a real good player. You know, so we don't even know if Rat can still play every down. Oh no, excuse me. I know Rat can't play every down, but we don't know how many downs Rat can give us at this point of his career, and after being hurt for that many seasons. So you have Ratliff, probably the biggest question mark on the defensive line. And then lastly, you have Anthony Spencer getting paid $10 million a year and has oh my goodness, I hate when the trash man comes when I'm trying to do a show. Can you hear the trash truck out there? They're just annoying coming this time of the morning. But the last person is Anthony Spencer, who is on the last year of his contract. So that's every member of our defensive line has question marks on them. And we did not feel the need. We did not feel the need to draft anybody. And this draft was deep with defensive tackles. We did not feel the need to draft one. And that's perplexing. It blows my mind. Because if you can't stop the run, what can you do? If you can't get pressure on the quarterback, consistent pressure on the quarterback, how do you think the secondary is going to do well? So I'm really concerned about the defense. The Monty Kiffin thing, I hope Monty Kiffin comes in and can put his system, his scheme there. But the scheme needs players. I know Kiffin said expect what we're going to be running the same thing as Seattle. So expect the same type defense that Seattle has. But we don't have the players on defense that Seattle has. Point blank. If you think we have the same type talent on the defensive side of football that the Seattle Seahawks have, you are really in la-la land. Not even close. Those boys loaded up on defensive line. They drafted more defensive line. They went out and got defensive line in free agency. Their defensive line is stacked. And during that whole game, they're going to have a fresh guy coming at you going 100. Somebody need a breather? Come on out. We'll put another fresh guy in there. That's how you hold up the point of contact. That's how you hold up the offensive line. You keep fresh monsters up there for the offensive line to handle. Then we got the corners they got. Mo's got to up his game. We've got good corners. I'm not going to say we have as good corners as Seattle, but we have good corners. So that's not a problem. But our safety combo compared to their safety combo, not even close. Not even close. So where is the talent going to come from to execute Monty Kiffin's defense to a high level to be able to make us a better team? I mean, Tony Romo can score all the points he wants to on offense, but if the defense comes right down the field and scores right back on us or whatever, it's defeating the purpose. All right. I'm going to go to comments for a minute, and then we're going to go through one more thing, and then I'm going to go through the draft. Don't sweat the haters. I know it, man. I know it makes me mad because it's Cowboy fans, and they think that I'm just saying something to just say something. Or they think I'm saying something, which is the craziest thing, to get money. And trust me, I pay a lot of money to make these videos. I don't make any money. I pay a lot. I hear it from her all the time of how much money I pay to be able to do this. So I'm sorry. There's no monetary thing. Jerry Jones is not paying me. There's nothing. Nothing's going on. I'm just being honest as a fan. As a fan who loves his team and not a fan that's blinded and just no, I'm just going to support my team no matter what. That's regardless. I'm going to support I was supporting the Cowboys when they were 1-15. I'm going to support the Cowboys regardless. So that's not an issue. But when they do stuff like they did this week and make me like, oh my goodness, what went on? Did we get better? It kind of gets on your nerves. And again, at least 90% of the Cowboy Nation was in the same messed up mental place I was at. That second round, Dirty Mug says that second round told me Jerry doesn't care about the fans. Yeah. Michael Barish says Hannah was one of my favorite prospects. Michael Barish, I didn't go into training camp last year. I didn't think much of Hannah. I barely knew who Hannah was. I barely did any research because I think it was a 6th round pick or whatever. I was like, he's just going to be camp fodder probably and come out. But it's day one when I looked out there and saw Hannah catching the ball. I was like, oh, this guy's good. And throughout training camp, Hannah was just making really nice catches, doing nice stuff and all that kind of stuff. I don't know about his route run. I hear his route run is not the greatest. But he was doing some really amazing things, you know. And then we saw him in preseason, and then toward the end of the year, he started doing some things. So I was thinking, geez, we might have something to Hannah, especially when we let John Phillips go. I said, wow, we're gonna move Hannah up there and gonna try him into a tight offense. I like that. So you're the same with me. There's 2 people at the end of the year that really impressed me, and that was Hannah was one, and the second one was Dwayne Harris. And I was not a Dwayne Harris fan until this past year because he proved on the field his worth. He did some really good things toward the end of the year to prove his worth. He didn't do with Kevin Ogletree, and we expected stuff out of him, and he just folded. No, he went out there and produced. So those 2 guys that produced for him, I liked a lot. Simple 247 says, and I'm glad you brought this up. We were playing damn good defense before the injuries. Beside the Ravens game, Shango, we do need depth though. We were fresh. We were playing okay defense. We weren't playing great defense, and we were losing. We lost more. I mean, I know you see those stats, but stats on defense are extremely misleading. The defense got completely manhandled in Seattle. Completely. So, I mean, the defense that was not lights out, as people like to visualize going back. We were losing when the defense was intact. Still. So it needed to be improved. And then toward the end of the year, the defense was playing decent with people we had to get off the street. Brady Papinga, Frampton, all the people that we picked up, Ernie Sims, all the people that we picked up off their couches. They played decent for us, and our defense played decent. But in no time last year was the defense playing very well. We had decent stats at the beginning of the year, but when we came up to a strong team, a playoff caliber team, they destroyed, and I'm not parsing my words there, they destroyed our defense. And that's the reason why, you see that, they took a crap on the start. That's the reason why I lost my mind after the game. Just because we got manhandled on defense. Fully staffed. Chicago pretty much manhandled us also. So I can't get what we were so good when we had Carter and Lee out there that we don't need to improve our defense. We just need to bring our guys back healthy and we'll be all right. But secondly, on that same token, even if we do have Carter and Lee, which I do say the defense upgrades a tremendous amount when we have those two out there, they're always getting hurt. Sean Lee's my favorite player on the team. Always getting hurt. Bruce Carter always getting hurt. Why not make sure you have somebody else? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it baffles me, the depth issues that we have on defense. And then it sets us up for excuses of no, we had injuries when there's other teams out there like the Redskins who had some devastating injuries themselves. A ton of devastating injuries themselves, still beat us with half a quarterback to go to the playoffs. Won the NFC East. Same thing with the Ravens. Devastating injuries hit that ball club. Still, they had the depth to endure, and they got through it and won the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear your excuses on how they got through it because that's what you hear all the time. No, the Ravens, blah, 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 blah. Or the Redskins, blah, blah, blah. No, they had devastating injuries and they had depth to overcome it. Even with RG3. He went out, Kirk Cousins. They had the mentality to pick Kirk Cousins to back up RG3 immediately so they have somebody other than Rex Grossman coming out there because they know what Rex is going to give them. Depth, people. Depth is so important. All right. Did you see, Tashiro said, did you see the Cowboys fans in the crowd holding up the sign, can we trade picks for the new year? Yeah, actually, I saw it on a tweet first. Can we trade for a GM? And I thought that was clever. Very clever. I wish I had thought of it, actually. All right. Keep Spencer, get rid of Jay. See, Dirty Mug says, seems like everyone you're naming is on the D-line are in their 30s. Yeah, I didn't even bring up their age. Yeah, they're old and they need to be backed up. Dennis Cooper asks, how do you feel about the tight end Escobar? Is Jerry trying to have his own little Rob Gronkowski? I think that's when I looked at Escobar's highlights, I saw that. And I'll get into Escobar deeply a little bit later. But yes, that's exactly what I saw when I looked at his highlights. He's a big, tall guy, and I think he wants him to physically, beat other people to the ball. Huge red zone target. Okay. Simple 247 says the offense was a problem when we were 2-3 before the injuries on defense. Romo couldn't stop turning the ball over. This draft was about Romo. We should have got Benny Logan in the second. I don't understand. How it was execution, in my opinion, Simple 247. It was execution with Tony Romo. It was execution with the offense that was struggling there at the beginning of the year. And they still struggled throughout the entire year. I mean, even toward the end of the year when we beat Pittsburgh and when we were playing all those teams, if you remember those games, we struggled on offense. The whole beginning of the game, the whole top part of the game. In a lot of games, it was the same way. We struggled. And then at the end of the game, the same offensive line, same everything, we picked it up. So in my mind, Tony Romo knows how to execute the comeback offense. He's got that down. He knows how to run up, and when we need to score, he knows how to what patterns to throw at. He knows he is downright dangerous. If we're down 14 points with 5 minutes or 6 minutes to go, Tony Romo is dangerous. But 5 minutes at the beginning of the game or first quarter, second quarter, not so much. So it's execution, in my opinion. in my opinion. So I have to just like respectfully disagree there. Thanks, Mike. Yeah, I don't enjoy doing that, Mike. I really don't. I really don't enjoy saying bad things about the Cowboys. NGTK 1000 defense was completely manhandled. It was like 5 or 6 games in before we got an interception. Lee got the first one while was a while before a DB even got one. Our line wasn't even pressuring the quarterback. Exactly. We wasn't even forcing turnovers. We drafted a ball hawk. And I'm not saying Mo Clay isn't a ball hawk, but I'm saying our defense didn't give him any really opportunities. The only opportunity he had to make an interception was a tipped flutter that fell right in his hands in Carolina. But there was not enough pressure on the opposing quarterback to put him in a bad situation like Tony Romo is in a lot of situations to throw interceptions. So if we're seeing that happen on the offensive side of the ball and not doing it on defense, we should know better. Do you think Wilcox would start at safety? Calvin P. I looked at Wilcox, and I just think it'd be a stretch for him to start. A real stretch for him to start. A 1-year experienced safety who played on a D2 football team to start his first year in the NFL is a daunting task. I'm not saying he can't do it because I don't know the human being. He may be able to come in and be a phenom. But that is a tall order to ask for. Tall order to ask for. Yeah, the learning curve is absolutely humongous. You can have all the skill sets in the world, but you have to know, a lot of information about offenses and what they're doing and what they're looking at and how they will attack you to be able to start in the NFL. So it's gonna be a push. All right, let me go over to the television because the computer, because I want to show you. There we go. I want to show you, I got yelled at by fans, but look, I mean, this is the situation our front office put us in. We must believe in them that they know more than everybody else. They put us in a position where we have to say the Cowboys organization knows more than all of you. And it's hard to say that, especially when we've just, heard all kind of things about the 2009 draft and lost all those guys, which might I add were in the same prospect area, all those drafts, as the guys that we drafted this year in 2009. We had a lot of projected second to fourth rounders in 2009. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same. That's all we got in this draft. Projected second to fourth rounders, and none of them panned out. So it's hard to know something like that happened in the past with our front office, and then we get a draft like this. Look, Vinny Iyer, C. SI's Chris Burke, C. ESPN's Mel Kiper, C. Roto World's Evan Silver, D. USA Today's Nate Davis, D-. Yahoo's Jason Cole, F. And even SB Nation, power to SB Nation. SB Nation's Dan, I don't want to mess up your name, Kadar, C. So nowhere in the NFL sports universe did we get over a C in the draft grade. Yet we have to say the Cowboys front office knows better than the whole entire world. That's tough. That's tough for us to do as Cowboy fans. All right, let me go through the draft. Draft tracker, Dallas Cowboys. Let me bring my picture up here. See if I can do it on the fly. PIP lower right. Hold on just a second, guys. So it's A, bam. So it's B. Bam. All right, hi. Okay. First pick, Travis Frederick. Let's go through him. Again, I didn't do much research before the draft on Travis Frederick because I didn't hear or I didn't see anyone in the entire football universe putting him as a first round prospect. So I looked, mainly at Cooper and Warmack and then Warford and Armstead, the people that were supposed to go at the end. I even went down to we talked in this show about Pugh and Long and things of that sort, but I didn't jump into Travis Frederick. So I didn't make it an immediate judgment on the player. I didn't. He could be a great player or whatever, a good player. Maybe not great, but he could be a very good player. The fact is that I think we misjudged that pick, and could have used someone else. And then the second thing about it, how much difference is there between Travis Frederick and the second center chosen in the draft that was chosen, I think, in the third round? It wasn't that much separation between Frederick and that guy. That we couldn't have accidentally missed on Frederick while getting some of this other talent and going and get what's his name, Swinky. I just didn't get the logic behind the pick. Do I like the guy? From what I've read, I like everything except for his athletic ability. I hear he can't move that well. His mobility is limited. But the fact that I hear he has Larry Allen type strength, which is awesome, especially to hold up the point of attack and things of that sort. So he should be very good as far as protection in the future, as far as protecting Romo. Secondly, the dude has a nasty streak, which I really like. I really like somebody on our team that has some kind of anger issues or whatever that they release out there on the football field. I heard he broke teammates' arms and wrists in Wisconsin. I think that's taking a wee bit too far. You want to do? I don't even want you to break our opponent's arms and stuff like that. That's a little nuts. So kind of dial it down a bit. But I do like that nastiness. I do like the nastiness. And the third thing about Travis Frederick is that he is very smart, which that's what I had to find out first, because if you're going to play center in the NFL, you have to know a lot. You have to absorb a lot of information. You've got to see a lot. You've got to recognize blitzes and point out stuff like that. So I think he'll be able to do that. The only thing is it's just going to take a little time. Like I told you with Tyron. But when I researched Tyron more, I was like, guys, it's going to take a little time. Took a lot of flack for that. People got so mad at me for saying that because people expected, again, like we do with the draft, people expected Tyron Smith to be a superstar his rookie year. And it's just a big learning curve. It's a huge learning curve there. Now, this opposite with Frederick, I was thinking, oh my God, it takes a center a while because they got to figure out all that stuff. But when I read the background on Frederick and how smart he is and the pedigree that he comes from at Wisconsin, I think that learning curve is going to be much smaller. So Frederick will be ready sooner than we think. The only issue that we have to worry about with him, in my opinion, is his mobility. Quicker defensive tackles like Gerald McCoy and people like that may be able to get by him easily or whatever. So we have to wait and see live action. But from right now, if you look at his highlights and when he gets his hands on somebody or he gets into somebody, it's ugly. So I like Travis Frederick. I still wish we would have got him in the second round or later. But he's a Cowboy and I love his beard, and hey, I'm behind him 100%. All right, our second pick. Let me. Any questions about Travis Frederick? Let me look at my comments. Yeah, I was wearing his number during the draft. Wasn't that weird? I mean, I reached in there and just pulled out Leonard Davis's old jersey just to remind us we need to go offensive line, and we did, and I actually had him his number. That was weird. That was really weird. Hey Shane, can we ask Darren Woodson or Michael Irvin or Deion Sanders to come out of retirement? Aaron what's that? Leon? Yeah, Aaron Woodcastle is who we need. Aaron Woodcastle. That's Darren Woodson. All right. What do they know? Do for 216 said, what do they know, Shango? They were always wrong. Deb was a bad pick. They said Romo can't quarterback, and just think of the can't misses that miss. Yeah, you're right, but I don't remember nobody saying Dez can't play. My God, when we drafted Dez, that was. I got talked. All my phone blew up with all the people that know Dez and have seen Dez play down in the Texas area and things of that sort. And I never got the impression that anyone thought Dez Bryant couldn't play. They thought Dez was immature, and we've seen Dez be immature until halfway into the season. So no, I mean I can't say they were completely wrong on that. Romo being they saying Romo was bad. Romo's got holes in his game that were never fixed. He has holes. I mean, I'm sorry that I have to break this to people that don't want to hear it. Romo has serious holes in his game that was never covered up, filled up. Bill Parcells was trying to do it, but Bill left. And then after that, no one taught Romo anything. They let him go. And that's why right now, when you see Romo play, the only thing he can do is when he starts playing street ball, basically. When he starts drawing plays in the dirt, basically, and going, that's what he does well. So he's a physical talent, a unbelievable physical talent. But there's some serious holes in Tony Romo's game that I don't see getting closed up. Yeah, you broke wrist. Not that the combine is everything, but Frederick only benched 21 times. I'm glad you brought that up, 81 Singleton. Good job. I'm glad because I had forgot about that. That's the only thing that worries me about Frederick's strength, because he may be just a power lifter. And when you're a power lifter, trust me, I'm an expert on weightlifting now since I'm a beast in there. But when you're a power lifter, you can do a couple reps of a high thing and you build up your strength. But that strength don't last for long, because that's what you build it up doing. 2, 3, you built up that. And that's what I used to do in the gym, because I used to love going in there, getting 120 in this hand and 120 in this hand and doing my benches and let everybody look at me like, good gracious, that dude's strong. I love that. I love it. But then when I started going in the gym and putting an 85 on this hand and an 85 on this hand and do them like 20 times, the whole thing changed. The whole thing changed. So in my opinion, the reps are very important to a different type of strength. The type of long-term strength, the type of strength that makes your joints stronger and everything else stronger. So I do think there's something to that 21 rep. I just want us, as far as the strength and conditioning guy, all you have to do is just get him to do a lot of reps. Get him to do more reps and get off that thing. And then when he does that, he'll shed some of the, because I hear he has weight problems too. When you do that, you'll shed that extra weight also and become more of a firm body or whatever. But I'm glad you brought that up, 81 Singleton. Very, 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 very good point. All right. If that's all about Frederick, let's see. Joseph Randall, we'll get to him. Seattle game. Jones fumbled started the game. Bears game. Romo couldn't stop turning it over. Buccaneers game. Couldn't move the ball. we just was not a very good football team last year. I really think our 8-8 record was a little bit better than what we were, and that's my honest opinion. I know people that do not like to hear that, but to pinpoint, I mean, 81 single, I mean not 81 single, simple D247. We're trying to pinpoint our issues last year, and if you ask me, we had issues with the quarterback position. He threw too many interceptions. Some were caused by the pass rush, of course, and some were not. And we had got to a point last year that really made me pull all my hair out, that we were trying to make an excuse for every interception Romo threw. It was the receiver's fault. It was Dez's fault. It was Dwayne Harris's fault. It was, everybody was getting fault for Tony Romo's interception. It was really getting our nerves. But we were having problems at the quarterback position. We were having problems at the receiver position until Dez took off on us. But at the beginning of the season, Dez wasn't playing well. Miles all year was just like barely there. He made some big catches, of course, but he was hurt at big times. Kevin Ogletree was supposed to be our guy. Never panned out. He's gone. Dwayne Harris did well. So there were issues in the receiver with the receivers. Running back, my guy, I don't even have to explain that. Offensive line, I don't have to explain that. Defense, I just include the whole defense. We were run on and we were passed on. All last year. When a team wanted to run on us, they could run on us. If a team wanted to pass on us, they could pass on us. Even with our corners, we got passed on. So our holes on our team were everywhere. It just seems like with all those holes, one thing we could do last year, score points. We're in the top of the league in points scored. So take that for a grain of salt. All right, moving to the next guy. Gavin Escobar. Oh boy. I like the pick because he's a big guy, 6'6", 254 pounds. When I watched his highlight reel, I didn't see anything overly special. I saw a big guy that could go up high and get balls and things like that. So he looks like a very serviceable player. I don't know. I'm going to have to see him because I guess it's because I like Hannah so much. I'm going to have to see him in training camp to see if I like Escobar more than Hannah. Because somebody made a great point over at the Cowboys Zone, I think it was, that if Hannah had played at San Diego State instead of Oklahoma, Hannah would have amazing stats or whatever at the tight end position, which is a good point, a very good point. Hannah played at a bigger school. So we'll see what happens with the Gavin Escobar thing. The only thing that concerns me is we've been trying to do that double tight end thing for a good minute, and it just you just can't get that second tight end enough looks because Tony Romo is going to Jason Witten. In the red zone, he's going to Jason Witten. On third down, he's going to Jason Witten. I don't want him to go anywhere else other than Jason Witten, and neither do you. Point blank. We don't want Tony Romo throwing to Escobar on third down in red zone if Jason Witten's over there. We want the ball to go to Witten. And you know I'm telling the truth. So it's going to be hard for a number 2 tight end to make a big impact because of that. And that is the extent of that pick. I just think it could have been a defensive tackle or something there, or something that to help us out in a situation where he could actually get quality reps on the football field. So I'm hoping for the best for Gavin Escobar. Everybody's saying great things about him. Love his size. I just got to see him in action versus Hannah. Terrance Williams. I really love Terrance Williams. We just have to hope his game translates to the NFL. His issues are him getting off the ball slow, his burst rather, and then his route running ability. I think they said in Baylor they run like 2 routes or something like that. They don't run very many routes, so he has to learn the NFL route tree. So he's gonna have to go through a small learning process. But 6'2", 208, good speed. I really like that pick. The thing that bothers me about this pick, there is little things that bothers me, and I think I said it on the video where there was some defensive linemen available at that point that could help us out immediately when he can't. The plus side of having Tony Romo is the fact that you can get a wide receiver anywhere. Wide receivers shouldn't be a real problem when you have a quarterback like Tony Romo. You can find a Lawrence Robinson anywhere. If we get rid of Miles next year, then there will be a ton of receivers in next year's draft. We can grab one. You know what I'm saying? So again, same as the Frederick pick. I like the player, but that player could have easily been replaced by another player with not that much change. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we could get someone of Frederick's ability later on in the draft. We could get someone of Terrance Williams' ability in next year's draft or in free agency next year. You know what I'm saying? We could fill those positions anyway. So those two picks frustrate. That's why those two picks frustrate me. They both the Frederick seems like a reach this year, and Terrance Williams seems like a premature pick this year. I know Miles maybe get going. I know we don't want to pay Miles and things of that sort. But when we get rid of Miles, we can get somebody in. It's not like if Miles goes down in the season, we don't have Dwayne Harris and we don't have people that can pick up the slack. Number 3. We have, and if it did happen, all we got to do is go on somebody's couch and find a wide receiver to catch the ball that Tony Romo throws to him, and they'll be able to do it. Again, a Lawrence Robinson can be found anywhere. When you have a quarterback like Romo, that's why you pay him so much money because of that. That's why you pay him so much money. All right, next pick, number 3. Because I'm running out of time, I'm gonna try to blast through these. Michael Berry says T-Will make me forget Lawrence Robinson real quick. Yeah, I just say that with a quarterback, like we had somebody, I can't remember his name. We had a former Cowboy on DC Fanatics Radio. Why I can't remember his name right now. He was a return guy for the Cowboys back in the days of after Troy Aikman, when we didn't have a quarterback. He had Quincy Carter and all those guys at quarterback. And he got nothing. And we asked him, was he better than Miles Austin? And he always told people he was better than Miles Austin. He just didn't have a quarterback like Tony Romo to throw him the football. So to wide receivers, the quarterback is a very important position. And if I'm a wide receiver in the league and I know I got skills left or whatever, and I want to prove my skills or whatever, and Dallas calls and they have a quarterback that can get me the ball, I'm running. Because I'll get an opportunity to catch a lot of passes. So that's the whole T-Will thing to me. But again, like the player. Think he's going to do very good. He'll look very good on the opposite side of desk. So it will work out in the future. Next pick, 3rd round, J.J. Wilcox. Now, a lot of buzz was made on this player. A lot of buzz was made on this player at the beginning of during the draft. The people liked him, the fans liked him or whatever, and everything they said. You know, Mike Mayock right there. I love J.J. Wilcox. The Cowboys needed a safety. He'll compete for the starting job, and ultimately he is a starting safety. Mike Mayock. I hope Mike Mayock is right. But when I look through every one of these things, Mike Mayock is saying good things about everybody. I don't know what's going on there. I think he got in trouble from the NFL for dogging people. But he's talking up a lot of people. So I looked at I implore you to go onto YouTube and search J.J. Wilcox, because there's a lot of scouting tape on him. Not his highlight reel. His highlight reel, everybody looks good on your highlight reel. But look at his game tape. And you look at his snap after snap after snap. And you'll see the flashes of brilliance that everyone sees or whatever. But then you'll also see someone who needs to learn how to tackle a little bit better. You'll see people, a guy that needs to find a better angles of attacking the football and things. There's a lot of things about him that isn't quite ready for the NFL. So he's got a lot of work to do to be able to start. And I said that at the beginning of the show. For us to think that a D2 1-year safety is going to step into the NFL and be a quality starter is kind of a stretch. But I hope it happens. I don't know the individual because it's completely dependent upon the individual. I don't know the individual, and I hope it can happen. But when you're looking at the whole scheme of things, it's a tall order to ask for. Tall. I'm saying this in the same way as I was saying, just wait on Tyron. He will be good, but just not now. I'm saying the same thing with J.J. Wilcox. Wait on him. He's going to be good. Just let it happen in its time. Don't get mad if he doesn't come out, being the world beater that Mike Mayock is saying that he is. Okay? Just a little bit. Now, B.J. Webb, the next guy. The more I thought about the B.J. 81 Singleton hit it perfectly. J.J. Wilcox gives me bad mentions of AOA. And AOA had a very good highlight reel also. The next pick was B.J. Webb. Now, B.J. Webb, I looked at his things. He's a shorter guy. He's not too short, but 5'10" is kind of short, 180. He seems like he can only be, from watching him at the Senior Bowl and watching his, and I would say to look at his highlights on YouTube also. But B.J. Webb looks like he's only going to be a slot corner. Only going to be a slot corner. Now, the reason why I really love this pick, is because Scandrick and his contract. We need a slot corner. And Scandrick is getting paid a lot of money. And I think this pick was picked so we can work up behind Scandrick this year. And then next year we can let Scandrick go and we won't have to pay all that money to him. And then we'll have a good slot corner, for years to come. So I really like that pick. He doesn't help us, but again, he doesn't help us immediately. He's going to go behind Scandrick. So the only way he helps us immediately is in the return game because he's a dynamic returner. I know they say J.J. Wilcox returns. His returns look blah. But B.J. Webb, he looked exciting on his returns. So he can come out the blocks and help us there. Well, we won't have to use Dez there. We won't have to use Dwayne Harris there. We can use B.J. Webb, and if he gets hurt, then we can bring one of our horses back there and use them. But he will help us in the return game. I guarantee you that. All right, next pick, Joseph Randle. I got to see him in action. I love the pick of a running back. I love his durability. Because even if DeMarco's gone, we'll have somebody that can pretty much get the job done and try to stay on the field. Because that is a big problem with our running back position. Felix was always hurt, and the story on DeMarco. So I really like Randall. His issues are his size. His speed. I hear he's got good hands and things like that that can catch the ball in Jason Garrett's scheme. So I think that Joseph Randle is one of our better picks if the production that he had in college comes over to the NFL. Because he had solid production. Not great production. Solid production. And hopefully he can bring that solid production to the NFL also. And let me check the comments. Hold on. Indy love you. NDLOVUL. I'm sorry, dude. I'm trying. But he says J.J. Wilcox can't cover anyone. And that's kind of, I saw coverage issues in that video too. But make your own decisions. Search J.J. Wilcox in YouTube and look at his scouting tape versus this team and versus that team. Singleton, Simple Ed 247 said, if you think about it, this draft has a huge chance to be a bust. I hope not, though. You're absolutely right. It does have a chance to be a bust, and I'm telling you, I tell you why. It's because certain players, like the tight end, Terrance Williams, will be playing behind players for a minute. And they may not get the time they need to, live time they need to develop properly. DC Fanatic uploaded I'm gonna go to it really quick since I'm here. DC Fanatic posted a great post on Dallas Cowboys show. It is the Cowboys should ask another team to draft DBs for them. And if you look here, all these DBs, you got Josh Thomas, you got AOA, you got Jamar Wall, you got D'Angelo Smith, you got Michael Hamlin, you got Stephen Hodge, who everybody loved, you got Mike Mickens, you have Mike Jenkins and Orlando Scandrick that kind of worked out, Courtney Brown, Alan Ball, Pat Watkins. You have a lot of secondary guys here that just didn't pan out. They didn't pan out. And a lot of those guys are small school guys that we were supposed to develop. And we never developed them correctly. So that's what I'm worried about. I hear what they saying, that what made out saying about BJ Webb, and it probably is all true. And I hear what they're saying about JJ Wilcox, and it probably is all true. The problem might be with us, with developing these guys and bringing these guys up to a high level. That may be the issue. I don't know. So that worries me, and that would make this would make this draft kind of like the 2009 draft, because a lot of those guys wasn't developed. A lot of those guys like Victor Butler was behind people for too long for him to get any kind of honest chance. So I see exactly what you're saying. We did not just draft horrible players in that 2009 draft. It's just that they didn't get opportunities, and they didn't get developed. Give Wilcox a chance. Sport 78, that's what I'm asking you to do. He says, give Wilcox a chance. He'll compete with Matt Johnson. One thing that's plagued this team is lack of competition. What I'm telling you is to give Wilcox a chance. If you follow upon the thought, and this is what we do as Dallas Cowboy fans all the time. If we go by the thought process of everybody on TV saying, oh my God, he's a starting safety, he should start. That means he has the ability to start. That means he has the ability to be a starting safety in the NFL. That doesn't mean he is one now. So if we expect him to be one now and start, and as soon as he makes mistakes in his rookie year, the Cowboy Nation will drag him while he's learning. We will drag him. Don't act like you haven't seen it before. As soon as a player is not doing well out there on the football field, the Dallas Cowboys Nation drags them through the mud. And that's what I'm asking you to do, to give Wilcox a chance. Don't expect him to come out there and be a starter his first year. Don't expect him to be all kind of a great ball hawk and everything and understand everything about the NFL in his first year when he played 1 year of safety from a D2 school. He may be able to do it. He may be this incredible athlete, and I hope and pray that he is. But in the reality of the situation, that's a hard jump. And you got to allow him time to make that and to develop into that guy. So it may be a couple of years down the road, maybe 2 years down the road, that JJ Wilcox becomes a super stud. You know what I'm saying? We just don't know. So I'm asking you and asking the Cowboy Nation to give JJ Wilcox a chance. I'm not saying he sucks. I'm saying he might not be ready yet because of his experience. I'm glad you brought this up. How much time I got? Jeez, it's going to be over. I got to get off in a second because it's going to shut me off. Beller Ofon, the hero, says that's getting into conspiracy theory of levels of meta drafting. Now, I'm going to try to take Alex Jones' job and try to get Jerry Jones to pay me to get these conspiracy theories going or whatever. But I really do think there could be a conspiracy theory in Dallas. Jason Garrett is gone after this year. We all know that. Unless we win a couple of games in the playoffs, Jason Garrett, that's the only way Jason Garrett is going to stay. But we're probably going to lose Jason Garrett next year. We're transitioning the defense with Monty Kiffin. We just let Monty Kiffin go over there and figure out what he needs. And next year's draft, we'll just get everything Monty Kiffin needs. On the other side of the football, we'll get players that's going to help us moving forward. Not help us next year, help us moving forward. So in next year, we'll still have some good players with Terrance Williams and Escobar being there. So it could be like we're just like wiping this season clean and getting Javidon Clowney from University of South Carolina. How you like that conspiracy? I like it because I like Clowney a lot. But hey, if we don't perform well next year, if we come out the blocks and are slow or whatever, then we may be in position to have a 10th or 11th or maybe 8th round, somewhere in the top middle of the draft. And in that area, we can actually make a movement to jump up to get a pass rusher like that. But we want to replace Ware with the next Ware. And I think he's the next Ware. We don't want a marginal pass rusher from this draft that they had, some that are some with ability or whatever. Clowney is the real deal. The real deal. Okay, the last thing, and I'll have to let you go. I can't go over the thing, is Devontae Holloman. My phone blew up when Devontae Holloman was signed with all my people from South Carolina. They just like, oh man, he's a player. And I looked at his highlights and I looked at his game film, and it looked pretty good. It looked really, really, really good. So I'm expecting a lot from Devontae Holloman, just because on the opposite side of what J.J. Wilcox was seeing, Holloman played in the SEC. So he was like in the NFL minor leagues. So he saw a lot more than people that play D2 football. So I'm expecting a little bit more from him off the jump. I'm expecting him to go in a training camp and back up. I think he's going to back up Bruce Carter on the weak side, but I'm not sure. But I'm expecting him to come in, and I kind of expect I give the license to expect him to do some stuff early, just because of his experience level. All right. Let me go through a couple of comments, and I'm gonna jump off of this thing. Mine Sid Horn says, "What's up, Shane? I'm sorry I'm late to the show, but can I get your thoughts on our last round pick? I think he might be a top talent that fell to me." I hope you are here. You came. You wasn't late. You came at the perfect time, because I hope you heard everything I said about Devontae Holloman. I think he is out of all of the guys that we picked. I think he is my personal favorite from my first time through and looking through each one of them without seeing them in action out there in training camp. I like Holloman more than anybody else. So yeah. Sports 77. I agree with what you just said about Wilcox. I think Marinelli can coach him up and develop him into a solid safety. Let's hope Matt Johnson stays healthy. Yeah. Marinelli's got a job to do. He's got a job to do. His specialty is the defensive line, and he's gonna have to get Lissamore in shape. He's gonna have to get Ben Bass in shape. He's gonna have to get Tyrone Crawford in shape, because they're gonna have to do lock some serious minutes behind these starters. And I'm sure Lissamore and Tyrone Crawford are gonna be starting in a lot of games. So he's gonna have to work with those guys intensely. So it's going to be him. I think that's the reason why we brought in Will Allen. Will Allen knows Kiffin's system up and down. So Will Allen's going to be the coach in the secondary that's going to be coaching up J.J. Wilcox. So I think that was a brilliant get for us in free agency. We kind of like brought in a player to coach up these young guys. And if these young guys can't get it, we can plug him in to fill that position. So I think the Will Allen thing was just absolutely brilliant. It fits into everything they're doing. Terrence Cartwright said, "What's up, John? Sorry I'm late. Think the best pick we made was Williams, but we did not address the defensive line still." I know. Yeah, the Williams might be the best player up there. We just got to get him in NFL shape, and he'll be fine. He'll be very fine. And like I said, I'm not worried about wide receiver. we could have drafted just about any wide receiver that were in the top of this draft or in the top and middle of this draft, and Tony Romo can make him really good. So wide receiver is probably one of my last worries on this football team, especially with Dez Bryant. Sports 78 said Victor Butler was a bum. He didn't see the field because he couldn't play. He couldn't play the run. No, Victor Butler could not play the run. He couldn't, but maybe he couldn't play the run because he didn't get enough time. Or maybe they didn't work with him they didn't develop him in the run game enough. All we know is when we saw him rush the passer, Victor Butler got pressure. When he was in there, you saw Victor Butler's numbers. It was ugly when we got to the run game, but still, you saw the talent there, and we'll see what happens to him in New Orleans. And if there's a last comment, I'm gonna say the comment. Then I'm gonna trade Miles for. I like that. NGTK 1000. If we can trade Miles, he said trade Miles for a defensive lineman while Miles still have the value. I'm with that, but I tell you what, that's not the way we do things in Dallas. And I'm gonna end it on that. In Dallas, we do not trade people when they still have value. We look to trade people when they don't have value, and we only cut people when they're completely useless to our football team. That's just the way we are. We're not like the Philadelphia Eagles and New England Patriots when they see a player decline. Like, for instance, Ratliff wouldn't have been on the New England Patriots anymore. Ratliff wouldn't have been on the Philadelphia Eagles anymore. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of players that when those certain organizations see them declining just a little bit, and only the organization knows, they send that guy away. They send that guy away, get a second rounder, get a third rounder in. And if you look at this draft, you can get some real talent in the second and third rounds. So that's how a lot of teams do it. We don't do it that way. We wait till a player is completely useless, and then we try to figure out something to do with him. It's just the Cowboy way. All right, guys. Felt good about this show this morning. I was worried about it because I didn't like the draft as much, but we went through all these players, and I see all these players having an opportunity to be something very good for us in the future. It's hard to see anyone but BJ Webb returning kits that's going to help us right now. BJ Webb and, of course, Travis Frederick. All right, guys. Thank you for coming. And I apologize about not being on yesterday morning, but, I got to make money in life and all that kind of stuff. But thank you, and we'll talk to you later.